welcome everyone that is here. We're so excited that you're all joining, Hatch in our surrogate and surrogacy panel today. This is our first, so we're super excited. We are really thrilled to have you all here. This is a very special panel because these are just really wonderful women. I'm going to start with, introducing and telling a little bit about each one of these four wonderful women that we have here. Shalise, she is a 3-time previous surrogate, currently carrying her 4th surrogate pregnancy. She's amazing, looking wonderful. This one is actually a sibling for her last intended mom, which is really special. She's carried 2 sets of twins, a singleton, and currently pregnant with a singleton as well. So that is our lovely Shalise. Ashley is a 2-time previous surrogate herself, currently carrying her 3rd surrogate pregnancy, also a sibling for your last couple, right, Ashley? And you have previously carried 1 set of twins and a singleton, correct? Yeah, awesome. All right, and Sarah, our lovely Sarah that just joined, she's a 1-time previous surrogate who just recently delivered her first surrogate baby for an intended couple, and she did amazing and is looking great already. And Sho, our wonderful Shoshana, or Sho as we call her, she is a 4-time previous surrogate who has carried 4 singletons for 4 different families and is also our surrogate coordinator extraordinaire at Hatch for the last decade at least, and counting. And all of these incredible women are part of our surrogate family here at Hatch. So I am just thrilled to share them with you all. And we just, we really believe in the importance of creating spaces where we can share our experiences with others and address the questions that, most people have before starting a special journey like this. So please feel free to send us your questions. And at the end of the webinar, we will be answering them as much as we can, of course. Remember that Hatch has a really good promotion tied to this event. So anyone who registered to the webinar and applies to the surrogacy program in the next 5 days and gets legal clearance, which means that you have gotten into the program, you have been matched, you've gone to medical clearance, you've been medically cleared, and now you're working on legal and you've gotten legal clearance, then you will be compensated an additional $1,000 in addition to your original compensation, which is great. You can also check our social media platforms and click on the links to apply. And you can also see there the terms and conditions for the campaign if you're curious. And we will also be sending a webinar recording at the end of the day so you can watch it and refer back to it if you need. And we'll also include the link there so you can apply if you so do choose to do so. So now what I would like to do is just to kind of get things started. I want to ask some questions that I know are pretty popular when thinking about surrogacy, and I'll go through all of you, and you can all just give your personal account, your personal opinion on it. But I'll start off with one of the main ones, which is, how did you first learn about surrogacy? We'll start with you, Shalise, if you don't mind.
So I actually learned about surrogacy. I was giving a facial to a friend, and we were talking about my daughter, and she said, "Do you want to have any more children?" I said, I loved being pregnant, but I'm totally good with one of my own. And she said, "Well, why don't you be a surrogate?" I was like, "What is this magical thing that you're talking about?" And she said, "It's where you're able to help a family with their own child." And then I sat on it for, oh gosh, maybe 10 years before I even it came back in my mind. And then one day I was just, popped into my head, as random as that sounds, it just popped into my head. And I was like, I really do miss being pregnant. And then I hopped online and I did a little bit of research. And then I got hooked up with Sho. She was the very first person I spoke to. And well, you guys have been stuck with me ever since. So
we love it.
You'd hardly say stuck with you.
Come on now.
Oh, you are.
Not even. We love it. I love that story. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Shalise.
Yes.
Ashley, why don't you let us know how it happened for you?
Well, I was actually pretty young. It was in high school where I came up with the idea of wanting to be a surrogate. I had actually wanted to make sure that I enjoyed pregnancy, so I wanted my own kids first. And then it just push came to shove. I loved pregnancy, and I had to convince my husband that it was something that we could do together and that I wanted to do. And it took I ended up having one more kid before he finally said yes. And I absolutely love it. I recommend it to so many different people who enjoy pregnancy, because it's just a great way to give back and still also get to do something that you enjoy.
That's so true. And I really love that you were thinking about it before you even had children, and that you really wanted to make sure that this was the right decision for you. That really shows that it's really a calling for you. And that's just so wonderful and priceless. Thank you for sharing, Ashley. Sarah, we'll go with you. Tell us about what prompted you to surrogacy.
Okay, so my sister is much younger, 6 years younger than I am. And she got married very young, and they waited a while to try to have their family. And then when they started trying, she had a really, really difficult time conceiving and was terribly sad and stressed and going through all the motions of feeling young and healthy and not knowing why it wasn't working for her. And so that was the first time I thought about it, because she asked me, well, what if I can't do this? Maybe you could carry a baby for me. And I immediately thought, of course I will. I'll do anything to help you. And that was about 10 years ago also. And I didn't have my own family yet. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know, that you needed to have your own children first or any of those things. And just by luck or the grace of God, they were able to conceive on their own. But I had thought about it way back then, how difficult it must be for people that go through the struggles with infertility. And so then fast forward, I finally meet my right person, and we have our beautiful kids. And I thought it was always in the back of my mind that I would love to do that. And so here I am. And then I started doing tons of research, and I looked at all the different agencies and everything that could possibly go wrong or go right. I mean, I really wanted to feel very informed, and but I felt wholeheartedly that I wanted to move forward. So I was fortunate that I hooked up with Show when I got in touch with your guys' agency. And now I'm so happy. I would love to do it again. I feel like it was even better than I expected.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. And another important point, that for anyone that doesn't know, yes, you do have to have had your own, normal full-term pregnancy in order to apply to be a surrogate. And I think that may be a little detail that most may not know. So that's really great that you pointed that out. And I'm so thrilled. That your sister, after all, was able to do it on her own, but that you were, prompted to do it. And it's just lovely. Again, it goes to show that this really is a calling for you ladies. And it's just amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Show, go ahead and give us what prompted you to do surrogacy. I know the story,
I owe credit to the show Friends. I used to watch it in junior. I still watch it to this day. And I was watching it with my very best friend at the time. And she asked me, Phoebe was a surrogate for her brother. She carried triplets, and we were watching it. She said, if I couldn't have my baby someday, would you do it for me? And for me, there wasn't even a thought in my mind. Like, of course you would do that for your best friend. Like, well, who wouldn't? But then it stuck with me. And it's something I kind of stayed in the back of my mind. And I ended up very fortunately getting pregnant very easily with my daughter, not really actively trying, but it was a great surprise. And then I just really reflected on people who can't do that easily. It wrapped my mind around that, and I wanted to make it possible for somebody else. So I Google researched, and I found the program, and the rest is really history. Carried my first surrogate baby and immediately begged them to hire me as soon as I delivered, saying I have to be a part of this. I can't have babies forever. I've been going pretty strong for a while now, but I need to be a part of this process, helping other people through it. And then in doing this, I've had the amazing opportunity to get to know all these incredible women here. So many incredible women. I wish they could all be here today, but it'd be way too large of a room. But it's really exciting to hear how they found out about it, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, and I have to say, Sho, you're just such a unicorn. You're just so amazing, and you take such great care of all of our amazing surrogates, and I adore you for it. You're just really special. So, with that said, I guess the next question is, how is being a surrogate different from your own pregnancies? And we'll start with you, Shalise.
That's actually kind of a hard question to answer. Pregnancy is such a beautiful, special, bless you. So my beautiful, lovely daughter, who is now 18 and who I never see anymore, she came around when I was 23, and God, I felt great. I I feel so fortunate that I felt good. My hair looked good. My skin looked good. I felt people are nice to you when you're pregnant. They hold the door open. So I'm like, wow, it was such a beautiful experience. I had her, and friend,
Right.
I'm also fortunate that, her and I have that kind of relationship where she is my best friend. She's my little bestie. So after having that and having, I think she was maybe 5 when I did my first
Oh
little.
my gosh, you're gonna age us
I
all.
know.
That's
I
crazy.
know. I'm dating myself right now. The love that you have with your children it's completely different. It's surreal. It's humbling. It makes you want to pull your hair out. It's like a little piece of your soul walking around on the earth, and you can't really control them, but you can, and you have to mold them into these people that are going to be in the world and make a difference someday. And I wanted to be able to help somebody else have that experience. It kind of gives me goosebumps. It's really hard to put into words. So when I was doing this for my families, everybody always asked me, are you going to get attached? Well, no, because I didn't want any more of my own. And also and this is what Sho said to me when I first talked to her, you get really attached to the families. So you fall in love with them and you have this beautiful relationship and you watch their excitement and you watch this whole thing blossom, and then it's not the same as having your own, and I don't want to say it's better, but it's just this difference of when you see their family unite, and it just breaks you, and it like fulfills you, and it's the coolest thing I've ever done. I'd have to say it's right a hair under having Adeline, because so they're so similar but so different.
Yeah.
Did I answer that okay?
No, oh my gosh, that was such a great
Yeah,
answer.
emotional.
Honestly, I mean, you're about to have us all waterworks here.
You're gonna make me cry.
Oh God, I'm
Seriously.
getting teary right now. I'm blaming the hormones.
No,
We all
no.
blame hormones. We all get a pass on that.
I can't blame hormones, and I was about to cry. So no, it's touching. And once again, you guys bring up really, really important points, because that is one of the biggest questions I think that we get is, or something that I think possible surrogates or women that are thinking about doing a surrogacy, they think about, am I going to be attached to this child? Is it going to be hard? And I think that you've really put it so beautifully in terms of, being attached to the family and just the joy that you get from helping them through the process. And I know that this is something that you all feel, and it's really, really special. And thank you for mentioning that, because I think that really touches on a very important point. Ashley, tell us how it's been different for you.
I think for me, I completely agree with the attachment with the families is definitely an amazing experience, and to be able to give like that and see the joy in their face for them to finally get something that they've been trying for. Sorry, we have a lot of crazy dogs.
They agree with you.
Oh, there we go. I can close this. There we go. But for me, I think the real difference is just your family around you. When it's your own, they're more like wanting to touch and especially like with my husband, like he doesn't really care as much this time, like, but for me, I still care. Like I still video the movements of my tummy and stuff and want to send that out to the parents. But I think for the family, it's a little different for them because they're kind of like, well, I don't really know what to do. So they're there to support us and they help us, but it's not like as I don't know, a whole group in the family sense, except for your other family that you're carrying the child for. That makes sense? Not sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, my kids, on the other hand, still love it. They come and kiss the baby and hug the baby. And so that is kind of great. And I think it's just great in that sense to be able to teach them at a young age of being able to see that they can give in so many different ways, and being able to just to see the process of that at a young age, which I don't think a lot of people really get. So I think that for me is kind of where it's different. It's just the connection with your immediate family is not as strong when it's your own pregnancy.
Right. I think that's, again, you guys are coming with great points. This is really, really great. Thank you for that, Ashley. That's awesome. Sarah, what did you I know that this was your first surrogacy, so obviously this probably was just, I mean, it was a whole new experience for you. How did you feel that it was different from your own?
That's kind of a tricky question. I feel like they covered it.
Right?
It was a great experience. The only difference, like the nuts and bolts of it different, is doing the injections and the medical part of it. For me, of course, we all know that's coming. And I have to say also that it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be, as far as like the shots and the process that,
Right.
To do what it takes to actually bring the pregnancy.
Mhm.
That was pretty much, that difference was easier than I thought it would be, luckily. And then, like Ashley had mentioned about the family, my family is very close and very involved. I don't think they knew what to do either, but they were loving and supportive, which was a blessing the whole time. So even though there was a couple bumps in the road where I had to do like modified bed rest and things like that, that was different from my own pregnancy, but everything went well and got better just the way it should. And I think that's about it as far as difference from my own pregnancies. They both felt right. I was excited both times. As she mentioned, you're so excited for these parents, for the mom or the dad or whoever. So there's still all the excitement and all the little milestones of the baby growing, all that stuff felt exciting and happy, just like it did with my own, but for the intended parents.
Right. Oh, that's so lovely. And another great thing, that you may not think about. Yeah, you have to do shots, you have to do medications, and that's part of it. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad that it was a good experience and it wasn't, traumatic in any way. I mean, we know shots are not always the funnest,
Right.
but you get it done, and hopefully it's not anything too uncomfortable. So
I think we worry about it more and make it bigger in our mind, the anticipation of that part. I think that might
Right.
even keep some women from wanting to do this, because I'm not a needle person. Some people say they're scared of needles or whatever, but
Right.
I did every single shot by myself. My husband was the big chicken. He would not even attempt to help me ever, not one single time. He didn't even want to watch or be in the same room as it. Figures. But it really wasn't as bad. I think we make it worse in our mind, and it was all totally worth it.
That's awesome. Well said. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Sho, you're a pro. Go for it.
So for me, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything everybody has said here, but to add to that, I think something that's different for me in a surrogate pregnancy is an added layer of caution. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I'm already very nervous and very careful of everything. It's just how I navigate pregnancy in the first place. But in surrogacy, somebody else is counting on you. It's not just your immediate family, this other family who's often been through significant traumas, pregnancy losses, years of trying to conceive, surrogacy matches with another program. Maybe they even fell through before they change programs. They go through so many things before they get to us sometimes that they carry with them a lot of worry and a lot of anxiety. And as a surrogate, you carry so much more than the baby in this. You end up carrying some of the weight of those parents' feelings in this process too. So that added layer of caution, really following your contract, making sure you're not eating anything you're not allowed to eat, like raw sushi, a lot of your restrictions start from the time that you start medications before you're even pregnant. So, wrapping your mind around the fact that you have to almost live life as if you're pregnant from the time you start those hormones. There are sexual activity restrictions, that can be kind of burdensome on your relationships sometimes. So there are things that are challenging and different, but at the same time, it's such a rewarding process that all those things really kind of just fall by the wayside for being able to make it possible. And I feel like at the end of the day, you always want to be in that position of that you did everything you could to make it a success, because there's only so much you can control for in any pregnancy. You can do all the right things and it doesn't guarantee a happy outcome, but it does guarantee that you have that sense of, I did everything I could. And I think that's so important and different from your own. Not that you wouldn't be cautious, but in your own, you really only answer to you and your partner. Whereas in this case, it's a team experience.
Absolutely. You said that perfectly. And I think it's important to yes, give the perspective that it's not just all roses and peachy and, all great all the time. But, that's just part of the process. And, everyone handles it really, really well. So I think it's really great that you pointed those things out as well. So the next question for you guys is, it's going to be a two-part question. I'm just going to merge these two together. And basically, what is the best part about being a surrogate and what is the worst part about being a surrogate? So we're going to go with the good and the bad. So we'll start with you, Shalise. Go for it.
Best part, I would have to say, is the trust that has been put in you to carry and grow and nurture a baby for somebody else. A lot of the time they're not around, they're not able to go to doctor's appointments, they rely on you. And so they put like everything they have into you and they trust you and they don't really know you. So I think that it makes you feel like, wow, these people trust me implicitly. So that for me is huge. I mean, I'm like, you don't even know me. How can you trust me? And it makes you feel absolutely wonderful. So there's that. And of course, bringing a family together and seeing everything come full circle and the joy and the tears and, the experience and the baby kicking you up in the ribs, all of that good stuff, all those beautiful things. The worst, I don't want to say worse because, pregnancy does have its ups and downs. The shots, they're not my favorite. I have it'll take me like 30 minutes standing in the bathroom by myself, like to try to do the biggins. I call them the biggins. So that is like, it's like a mental thing with me, which, you overcome. I'm trying to think what I would consider the worst. Perhaps when you go in to give birth, and you're getting all those checks and, everything's out in the open, there's just no ever in that situation. And that's when you fall madly in love with your nurses and your doctor. And I never said thank you so many times in my life, but, oh, okay. No, I just thought of something. The worst part that I have had is a manual breaking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got me right. Yeah. A manual breaking of the sac. I was not prepared for that. First time I've had it done twice. And the first time it was very painful. And so now I know going into it, because I'm a big fan personally of the epidural. It's pretty much my best friend other than my child. And I definitely ask for that up front before I have so that's like a pain thing. That was not my favorite. So that for me was the worst part of doing this. Other than that, it's like tattoos. You just can't get one, right? You got a couple.
I love it. I love that analogy. Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, I will attest to that. I have 3 kids of my own. I've never been a surrogate. I'm not that amazing. But I understand the breaking of the water manually. That was, yeah, no, thank you.
I've been there.
But
No.
But no, that's really great. Thank you, Shalise, for giving the best and the worst, Ashley, what is the best and the worst for you, you would say?
Oh man. Um, definitely the best is just growing your family in a sense. The parents, to me, both of my parents, it was almost like I've already known them. I've known them forever. We connected so well, and just having that relationship with them is amazing. And being able to do that for them is a great experience and feeling. So I feel like just having a great bond with the family has been the best thing for me. And then obviously I just love being pregnant. So feeling the baby move is probably one of my favorite things pregnancy wise. Even though this one is moving all the time. But
You wanted.
it's reassuring.
Right.
So if you were to ask me my first surrogacy journey, I would actually probably say nothing was the worst. I had the amazing first surrogacy journey ever. Going into my second one, I thought that I was like almighty and could get pregnant easily and have no issues. Well, I quickly learned that was different. That was not the case. It's different with every pregnancy. And so I think the emotional roller coaster that I've had to experience in the last two surrogacies have definitely been a little harder for me this time around. And with both of them, not taking the first time or miscarrying. I feel like when it's your own kid, yes, you get upset, but when you're trying to do it for someone else, you just feel the pain that they've been feeling. And I think that was really hard to experience and get through. Fortunately, with the amazing support that we have within the surrogacy and my families that I've had, it's just been helpful just to have all that support around getting you through those moments when, you do have a little roller coaster in the road, a little block in the road that you have to get over together. So I think that was the hardest thing for me the last two journeys that I have.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing. I know it's not always the easiest, and we know, you've championed through it all. And look at you now. I mean, you're pregnant, you're doing it. So yeah, and again, that's what it's about. It's about really having an honest conversation about things that can come up, when they do come up. Really having a good team behind you and a good support system is just so important. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Ashley. Sarah, what would you say the best and the worst would be?
Okay, so I think the best for me was the birth, actually, and having the intended mother be present and seeing her get to hold her baby for the very first time is right up there with having your own very first baby for the very first time. There's so much magic in those moments that makes every other little thing worth it to me. The seeing her face, seeing the love, feeling the energy in the room, and this perfect brand new from scratch human that could be anything he wants in his life, and his mother being there loving him so much. That is by far the best part for me. And the worst part is in the beginning, the waiting, when you're doing everything right, you've done not waiting for necessarily it to begin, but say like once we've done our injections, after transfer, I guess, you're got everything crossed and you're doing all, every good luck thing you can do and everything you can do to like treat your body with kindness and hope this baby sticks, and the waiting for that first blood draw and then that second blood draw, and then the 10-week ultrasound to hear the heartbeat. Like that is the hardest part, the feeling like you do everything you can within your power to accommodate the little guy or girl and hope he sticks around with you. But at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. Like Ashley said, sometimes it doesn't work the first time, but I believe that just maybe wasn't the right baby for them. And then they get the right baby when you push through those obstacles. So the best part was the birth, and the worst part was the waiting for all those confirmations and having so much hope and feeling a little bit like you were on the sideline waiting.
Right. Yeah. And it can be challenging, you know, and there are all kinds of different timelines that we see when doing a surrogacy journey. And, you know, it's really great when surrogates, you know, the way that they champion through it and just really, you know, patiently they go through the motions, and we know, you know, some things can take a long time. And like you said, if it doesn't take the first time and we have to like start all over again, you know, it sucks. But you know, ultimately the goal is, you know, the end goal is to get pregnant and to have that baby for that loving family. So I think it's great you pointed that out too. Thank you. Show, what would you say the best and the worst is?
I have to tack on partially what Ashley said, and I'm so glad that you brought it up, Ashley, because so many of our intended parents have experienced pregnancy loss, and not many of our surrogates have when they come to us. So they come to the table, and I did personally too, with this sort of magical thinking that nothing will ever go wrong because nothing ever has. And then when you get that shocking news that you've miscarried or something like that has happened, even when you've done everything right, it really rips the rug out from under your feet. Or if you don't have a successful transfer, and I've certainly had journeys where I took more than one transfer, or journeys where I've had a loss. And I think you really do lean on your team during that time, and the family's a part of your team, and you really get through it together. But you carry the parents' feelings as well as your own in that process. And it is really hard because ultimately surrogates, we're very much, we're people pleasers. We want to do everything we can to make somebody happy, to make this miracle happen. And when you do everything right and it doesn't happen, that part can be a little bit painful. And I think that's, you know, I like to think that I had those experiences to be able to help and relate to other people who go through the process, and that I use that, you know, as a strength now. But I would say hands down, it's one of the toughest experiences I've had in life, really, even outside of surrogacy. But the thing nobody said, and I'm so surprised, I was like waiting for several people to say it, nobody said the nausea. For me, that is, I see Shalise knows. And at least I think most of us here that definitely have that experience, some to varying degrees. For me, I would say I have healthy pregnancies. I would not say I always had easy pregnancies per se. And so that is the challenge that I face, is a lot of nausea. Never adversely affects the pregnancy, but it's hard to do that for somebody else. But the best part, you know, and the reason that you put up with all of that and do all of that is you're thinking of that moment when the parents hold their baby for the first time. And I got to go back to you guys, the birth to me, that's the moment. And not just the birth, but the labor too, getting to share that with my parents. So I'm one of those anomalies. I know there's not a lot of us out there that personally choose unmedicated birth. That's the path that I've chosen, and I have loved it. And so being able to share in a very kind of hands-on birth experience with the doula, with the parents, and for them to kind of be a part of that process, you know. I had one journey where I even had one of the dads was holding a leg, and you know, we were pushing, and he was very much in the action and very excited. And it was so cool to make the birth the parents' birth, to really involve them in that process, because it's something they wouldn't experience in any other way. And it was magical. And that's the part, you know, where every time I'm thinking of nausea, I'm like, I know that part's ahead, and it kind of gets me through it. And I look forward to that. And I think the second I deliver, I'm always like, I could do this again. And, you know, then you start again, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so thin, what am I doing? But it is incredible. And I love that moment. And also the relationship. I have that ongoing communication with my families. I know how loved those babies are. I know that they're being raised to be incredible people. And so that feels really good too. There's so many good things. The bad things list is much shorter for me.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I can attest, you know, being with Show in the office or whatnot, while she's green, you know, and just hating everything because of the nausea. It's just like, poor thing, you know, but she champions through it, you know, and it's true. As soon as she delivers, she's ready to do it again. Like I have to keep her, I don't know. I'm going to have to figure something out.
It's really hard when you work behind the scenes and you meet all these wonderful families all the time, and you can't possibly carry for all of them. Thank goodness I get to work behind the scenes and match them with incredible women like the ones you see here, because I can't carry them all myself.
Oh my gosh. If you could, you would, Show.
If I could, I would, yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe. Last question for you guys is, this is a big one. I mean, this is now where the you know, people that are logging into this webinar really will get to hear it from you guys. And it's basically, what advice would you give to anyone who is thinking about becoming a surrogate? We'll start with you, Shalise.
That is a very big question. I think I would start with, geez, I'm just gonna completely draw a blank, you guys. I'm sorry.
Hello?
I mean, it really is such a life changing journey. So, I mean, what I would say is, start with the obvious, is work going to allow it? Are you going to be able to do this with your lifestyle? How are you going to feel if people have negative comments? That's something I ran into. Do you think you're going to get attached? You have to think about the effect on your immediate family, on work, on life, those sorts of things. Because those are kind of, the obvious, but also the emotional part, really think about what it means to you and why are you doing it and what you hope to get from it. Because selfishly, one of the reasons I do it is because it makes me feel good. I know that it's also giving a gift that is not the easiest gift to give, but I mean, it really does brighten your soul and fulfill you in a way that nothing else can do. And so, I did quite a bit of soul searching before I did it. And I sat down with my daughter and talked to her. That was a big one. I was a single mom, so I didn't really have to ask anybody. I was like, I don't gotta ask anybody, so I'm just gonna do it. And then I was like, I probably should ask my child. How is she gonna feel? And honestly, she's had the same response. She's very snarky. She has had the same response all 4 times. Whatever you want, just don't bring it home. Don't keep it. I want to be.
I love her.
Every single time. Hey, what do you think if we do this again? Hey, I don't care. Just don't bring it home. I like being an only child. I'm like, okay. So that was really nice. And it's actually, she's learned a lot about what women go through by going through this process. I mean, she's done it at a very young age and she's 18 right now. So she's seeing it differently. And this time around, we're very close with the mom, and it's made Adeline actually consider donating her eggs. So it has given her, and she's not like that. She's not really a fan of children. She's just not, she much prefers animals. So to hear her say that, I was like, what just came out of your mouth? Like, this is amazing. So, really like kind of the effect that it will have on your life and you emotionally, and you are gonna, if you do get nauseous, I mean, it is hard. Are you gonna be able to really go through these motions, and are you gonna be able to do bed rest? That's also sometimes difficult if you're not able to work from home. And there's just kind of a lot of lifestyle things that you have to think about and emotional things that you have to think about. But if you're a positive on all these things, and even if you're not, it's still really good to think about it and talk to the girls at Hatch, because they will answer any question. Literally, they're your family. They walk you through everything. They answer everything. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is, painted over. There's no rose-colored glasses in it. It's very, very honest and open. And I think you really have to go into it with that mindset. And it's the greatest thing that you'll ever do.
Thank you, Shalise. Thank you. That was really wonderful. Ashley, give it to us.
I would have to say, she kind of tapped on it at the end, just being very open-minded, and being mindful that everyone is different. And so each, maybe requirement from a family might be different because that's how they would want their pregnancy to be. So you have to really be open-minded and accepting of other cultures, other ways that things can go for pregnancies and how they would want that to be. And I think you got to keep that in mind, because it's not only about you for this, it's about the family and how they would want their pregnancy to go. So I think that is very important to be open-minded about. And then there was one other thing, but pregnancy brain just kicked in. So
So real.
We can always come back to you. It's okay if it comes to you. Just yes.
Communication.
Yes.
Communication, making sure that you are constantly communicating with the team as well as your parents of what you should be communicating and needing to communicate, but just making sure that you're always very honest about your communication, and constantly talking, because that, I think, helps make everything go a little bit smoother. And I think it even eases the parents a little bit if you're constantly kind of keeping in touch with them and helping them along with the journey too, because they of course have a lot of anxiety wrapped around someone else carrying their child for them. So
Right, right. So well said, both of you. And I love that point. Yes, communication is huge. I can't, I mean, I can't emphasize it enough. It really is huge. Thank you so much, Ashley. Those were really great points. Okay, we'll answer that question. I did see a question that came through, and I'll definitely bring it up in a second. Sarah, what advice would you give?
I agree with what both of them already said. And I would also add to it that for me, one of the most important parts of all of this was the match, which is why I loved working with Hatch. I love the way they did the matching process. I did online dating was how I met my husband. And I didn't, and I know in some levels that this didn't make it feel like that, which is a good thing. It wasn't, it felt so much more personal, you know, like you had your own personal matchmaker, which we did.
Yeah.
And for me, the match is so very important because I knew what I had never done this before. This is my first time, but I knew what I wanted or hoped, and I didn't know what would happen, but I knew what I had hoped the relationship I would have with intended parents. And that's different for everyone. You know, some people feel more comfortable having more boundaries or more separation or keeping it, I don't want to say all business, but some people feel more comfortable being more guarded for the parent's point of view as well as the surrogate. But for me, I'm not that way at all. I'm like, let's be best friends. No, not over the top. But, you know, I knew that I wanted in a match that someone who would hopefully send me photos of, oh, look, the baby's got teeth, or he's walking now, or, you know, how are you? You know, nothing major. I don't expect that, you know, we'll be next door neighbors or anything crazy. I just wanted to know, you know, how they're doing and feel a friendship and a connection there. And so I think that's very important to be clear about what you want, or what you hope to have in that aspect, so that you'll end up happy at the end of it, because it's such a remarkable, amazing, unique experience. And I think that's the best part about everything that's just happened, is that I feel such a friendship with the mother. And even though they live overseas, I feel that she'll send me those sweet pictures that'll warm my heart. Oh, yeah. And even if she never did, I would still wouldn't take it back for a single second. But I think that having the right match and having this team or a team on your side that understands how important that part is crucial.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And thank you for acknowledging our style. You know, I do think that our style is a little bit different. We do take that curated approach to matching, which I think is special. So we really take the time to, you know, not just throw a bunch of profiles out there and just let them pick, you know, whatever. It's like we really are going to make sure that personalities mesh, you know, that everything is in line, so that it's a truly great experience from start to finish, as it should be. So thank you for acknowledging that, and everything you said is lovely. Sho, tell us.
So much good advice to follow here.
I know.
So 2 things for me. One is empathy. When you go through this process, I think it takes a lot of empathy. I think surrogates are naturally empathetic people. They come to the table with that sense of they know somebody else can't do what they were able to do, and they want to give that back. But that empathy needs to kind of carry throughout the journey, you know, in how you communicate with the parents. You know, I'm even mindful about things like common pregnancy complaints. Like, unless they're really asking if I'm nauseous, it's not something I generally volunteer, because I think in the back of my mind, this mom would kill to be nauseous. She would do anything to be able to experience this firsthand. So keeping that perspective of, you know, what they couldn't do and being empathetic and how you communicate can be really helpful to the relationship. You know, often when there is a bumping of heads, it comes down to one side not seeing the other side, and it can go on either direction. So for either side, parents or surrogates, to have that empathy you're going through the pregnancy. You want the parents to be empathetic to all the things you're physically experiencing. And you're also juggling your own family. You want empathy to the fact that you're a mom yourself and you've got to balance your family and helping their family. And in return, they want some empathy, I think, to what they've been through to get to this point, and that helps to build that trust. So I think empathy is a big part. And then patience. I would not say I am a patient person by nature. It's never been, if I want to do something, I'm doing it right then and there, and I go head first into it. That's just kind of always how I've been. And I'm not one to take no for an answer on things. But in surrogacy, there are things that can come in the road that you can't control. You could be in a great match and maybe there's an embryo issue and it's going to take longer to work out and you have to wait on hold for a little bit. Maybe the first match that you're presented isn't the perfect match, and for whatever reason you or the parents decide not to proceed together. You go through, I think, sometimes bumps along the way, and you have to have a resilience to not take it personally. And this process is so personal and so intimate in so many ways, but it's not a personal thing, per se, when things get delayed, when you can't control that timeline. I think you do give up a good amount of control in this process and you commit a good amount of time and flexibility to it. So having that resilience, that staying power to kind of weather the storm if things come up along the way. I've had journeys that were, we matched, we transferred, we got pregnant, we delivered, boom, and done. And then I've had more of my journeys be like, well, we had a transfer that didn't take, or there was, a delay with getting the embryos, or there could be so many little things that come up. And that's, again, where that communication, that relationship, I think, really gets you through too. When you love the family you're helping, you're willing to hang in there for them and do what needs to be done, even if it's not always convenient. So that would be the advice I would give.
Perfect advice. It's so true. So to, be empathetic and be patient. I mean, and that goes for everyone. I mean, it goes for intended parents too. They also have to be patient through the process, and it's not easy. But that's really, really perfect advice. All right, so that covers my questions. I'm now going to open it to everyone to ask whatever they want to ask. I do have one question for you ladies here from someone. They asked, can each of you explain how the medications affected you? So Shalise, we can start with you and then we'll go down the line.
I honestly do not remember any negatives. If I'm incorrect and I have forgotten, ladies, please correct me if I complain to you. Maybe like slightly more moody. It could have been moodiness that I'm blaming on the shots, but I honestly do not remember. And I've had each journey that I've had has had different medication, whether it be injections or oral or the fabulous Vijaspirins, which
I love that you coined that term. We still use that, by the way.
Favorite over here. What can I say? But I don't remember any anything weird happening for me, so I was pretty lucky with that.
Awesome. I'm glad. Ashley, what about you?
I would say same thing. I don't remember anything abnormal or that stood out. I would say the only thing is obviously it's hormones. So I would say a little bit more moody or emotional on that end. But other than that, I mean, no issues with any of the medications or adverse side effects or anything like that.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Sarah, what about you?
Same here. I didn't have any that I can think of either. I remember I was pretty nauseous in the beginning of this pregnancy, and I thought that maybe the medications were contributing to that. But my husband quickly reminded me that I was much more nauseous when I was pregnant with my son than my daughter. And I don't know if that's a boy-girl thing or it's every pregnancy is different thing with me. But he told me that that it was in my mind because I had the same with my son. So nothing that I can think of either. I didn't gain any weight either. I know I was nervous that I was going to gain weight during the injection phase. Before you're even pregnant, I thought, oh gosh, if I put on a bunch of weight then but I didn't. And I certainly wasn't dieting or anything. I was just trying to be healthy and mindful. So not everyone gains weight, and that's not something, don't let yourself worry about all these little things.
Great point. Yes, we do. I know people wonder about that too. For donors and surrogates, is the medication going to make me gain weight or anything like that? So that's great that you mentioned that. Thank you. Shel, what about you?
So I think I'm a little opposite of everybody here. I'm the kind of person who, if any medication is going to affect somebody, it's going to affect me. In spite of that, I've done this 4 times, so it can't be that bad, right? But I do feel that I'm a little bit more nauseous once I'm pregnant on the medication. Once I stop that, it does tend to get a little bit better for me. Comparatively, though, I'm actually more nauseous with my own biological children than I have been with surrogacy. So it's kind of like a tough one to compare. The moodiness I really only ever felt on the Lupron, which is a medication some doctors use to prevent ovulation in the beginning of a cycle. You're not on it really long term. So I definitely remember watching The Water Boy and just starting to cry during like a scene of an Adam Sandler movie because I felt that he was being bullied, and my husband just laughing at me. So definitely affected my mood a little bit there. I do really well with the shots and the Vajaspirin, as Shalise calls it. Those are the vaginal suppositories, which are often used. But I don't do great with oral medications. And for me, that comes down to just having a sensitive stomach, somebody who already kind of gets nauseous. And what's really great is the shots really are tried and true. And I find because they bypass the stomach, I do really well with those. So I would always take like suppositories and shots over oral meds when I have a choice. And I found that most of the doctors are flexible on that. If you want to be on the shots, they're like happy to give you the shots. It's when you don't want any shots that they're kind of on the fence, because they are so tried and true, and they are kind of the more of the standard of care of what doctors do use. But overall, I did pretty well. I think everybody can probably say they experience bruising and soreness in the injection site. No matter how many different things you try to kind of alleviate that, by the time you're done with shots, you're going to have some lumps and bumps, but they do go away, and it's so worth it that I feel like all of those things really fall by the wayside. So I never anything severe, nothing that ever stopped me from doing it. And I would encourage anybody, if you are experiencing anything, let your program know, let your medical coordinator know, because often there are things that can be done. And if you speak up, one thing I guess I should have said this with advice, but really do communicate well with your surrogacy team that's supporting you, because surrogates are not complainers. So I could have a surrogate who's like super green or having a problem, who just doesn't want to complain, but it's really not complaining to us. We want to support you. We want to know how you're doing. So definitely, if you ever are experiencing anything, come to us, let us know, and we'll try to figure out what we can do. We don't want anybody, really uncomfortable and not knowing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that. That's really great advice, Joe, and thank you for answering that question. It was a great question, by the way. So
I think Sarah had something to add.
Yeah, I forgot. I just want to say, for the sake of honesty and communication, so is it the oral progesterone that made me really dizzy?
Yeah, so sometimes the oral meds, and I find everyone's a little different. I have found a little bit of a trend. It's not scientific, not a medical professional here, but surrogates kind of like you and me who tend to have nausea in their own pregnancies sometimes don't do quite as well, it seems, with the oral hormones as they do with the injections,
right,
or suppositories. When you bypass the stomach, if you got a sensitive stomach, you seem to avoid a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I remember I was getting dizzy from those oral meds, but then they switched them for me and it was all better. So I was glad I spoke up.
Yes,
great.
communication.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for throwing that in, Sarah. I'm glad we clarified. Any other questions? If anyone wants to ask anything, we'll give it just a couple more minutes. I'll give it a minute. We're almost at the hour mark, so I don't want to keep our wonderful moms, too tied up for too much longer.
I think by now, at least 3 of us are starving here, right?
Right. Hey, I'm always starving, so I'm right there with you, and I have no excuse. But yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to ask anything, feel free. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type our emails here just so that you have them. So I'll type my email. If anyone has any questions, and I'll type Shoshana's email as well. If anyone wants to know anything, please let us know. Check our website out, which is hatch.us, not .com.us, and I'll send this, and hopefully everyone sees that. And other than that, I don't see any questions popping up. I think that, yeah, go for it.
So somebody's asking if the transfer is scary the first time. That's a really good question.
Great question.
I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in. I'm happy to answer, but you guys have all been through the transfers too. Did anyone find it scary?
No, it was so easy.
It's so quick.
The doctor
really
made a joke about how quick and easy it was. I was so blown away how the doctor that I had was so funny. And it was just over in a blink of an eye. It was nothing. It was less than a pap smear.
Literally, it's really fast. So fast.
Essentially what they're going to do, it's an outpatient procedure. You're not going to be under anesthesia or anything like that. It's not painful or scary. It's about as uncomfortable as a pap smear because they use a speculum and an ultrasound probe, which they insert vaginally so that it can visualize what they're doing. The catheter that they put the embryos with, it's like IV tubing thin. It's very thin and flexible. It just slips into the cervix. They visualize what they're doing. They flush the catheter, release the embryo, and then they take it back to the lab to make sure the embryo's out, and you bed rest for a bit. And that's really all there is to it. I think the more painful part is waiting 2 weeks to find out if you're pregnant. That part's painful, right?
There's that patience. Indeed. That's a very good question.
My last one was actually a little painful, and I think it was because my bladder was so full.
Oh, the full bladder. Okay, that part.
Remember
getting into the cervix because of how full my bladder was, because they had me wait longer than they had planned.
I remember. That's
so
right.
Yeah, it took a little bit longer, which was interesting because normally, it's really quick, right in and out. But I mean, it still was fairly quick, but it did take a little bit longer, and I think that's the reasoning is my bladder was too full.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, they do have a full to semi-full bladder, and you're having the transfer. It's probably my least favorite part of the transfer itself. But the one thing is they will let you usually get up, take to the bathroom after they've done the transfer, so you don't have to wait a long time after it's done, at least.
Right.
But, full bladder, not fun, especially when you've had multiple babies.
Right. Well, I think that was the last question. I don't see any other ones come up. But again, if anyone has any follow-up questions, please feel free to email us. We're always available for anything in terms of, if you need any clarification. Again, do check our website out. We will be sending a follow-up on this webinar, and this is recording. So we will also have a video of it. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much to all my wonderful surrogates that are here. You guys are all awesome. I love you all. Thank you for taking the time today. I hope that, we were able to bring some clarity to some possible wonderful women out there that are thinking about doing this. You're welcome, Ronnie. I see you. And, we are really, really looking forward to, moving along and getting more wonderful surrogates into the program so we can help more amazing families. And thank you, ladies, so much for everything that you're doing. You're all incredible.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.